going to this meetup right now, and it prompted me to think, is it important to go out and network? And I think there's two sides of that story. I've met people that they're just fine and they don't care to go out to network at all. And I've also met people that did a whole lot of networking and did not get a whole lot done. So I think both things could be true. Networking could be good or bad, just the extent of which you do it and your approach to doing it. Let me share with you a few stories from me as far as, from my perspective, the benefits of networking. Whether you're trying to land a job, or you're trying to get freelance clients, or you're just trying to learn more information within your industry. I think I was probably 18 years old at the time, maybe 17 or 18 years old. I went to this networking event called Executech, and I was really nervous because it said it's for executives in tech, and I was not that. But what they would do is they would have these topics every single week, and at the time some of these topics were like, is LinkedIn important? What role would Twitter play for business? Those aren't the exact topics, but that's the general idea. And it really captivated my attention. I thought it would be really interesting. I've considered myself to be an extrovert, but the problem with those labels like extrovert and introvert is, I haven't done the research, but from what I have heard, the original guy that coined those terms, his definition is not the same as the modern definition of what those terms mean. So in actuality, I probably have social anxiety, and I attributed that to me being an introvert, which I don't think it's a good thing, because I think what you tell yourself, the image of yourself that you carry with you, that's eventually the image that you will become, because the habits, the things that your routines, the things that you do on a daily basis, a lot of that revolves around a certain self-image that you have around yourself. And I think that's why, for example, professional athletes that get injured, it's not unusual for them to fall into depression, because their self-image and who they thought they were, well, now they can no longer do those things. Recently, I've been telling myself to get rid of the introverted, extroverted labels and just acknowledge I probably have social anxiety, and that probably stems from me not being an excellent communicator. And I think it's okay to admit these things so we can get better at it. Anyways, when I was in high school, I showed up to this meetup, and I was extremely nervous. I think it was literally because everyone was 2 decades older than me. Maybe a decade and a half, but everyone was significantly older than me. And everyone looked successful. I was this kid from high school, and these were people that carried executive, VP, management positions in business, in tech. So I was very nervous, and I asked, "Hi, I am not an executive in tech. Can I still join?" And surprisingly, everyone was extremely welcoming. So that intimidation went away fairly quickly because they were just nice people. I started attending this meetup, Executech, and eventually, in high school, I landed a job. I met this guy, and he ran a web development agency out of Pasadena. And the job I got was for a web developer job. In high school, I was getting paid $35 an hour, which was incredible. That was more than anyone else that I knew was making at the time. So that was an opportunity that I would not have received if I not gone to those meetups. Now, I did not go to those meetups with the intent of finding a job at all. And I would say if that is your only intent, it might even come off desperate. It might turn people off. I was there because I was interested in the topics that they were discussing. And I think the man saw some potential in me. And so he hired me. And I did work for him. His projects were .NET projects. So I had a chance to work with and use C#, some VB.NET, ASP, and SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server. And that's the only time in my career that I ever used Microsoft technology in a web development capacity. So that was really cool. So that was from networking, from going to meetup events. When I had my business, At the time, it was a business. I did web design and build websites for people, web design and web development. And so I would go to these meetups, and I've met several clients from these meetups. One of them was a realtor, and there's a few that I'm probably forgetting, but I've gotten multiple clients from going to meetup events for website services. But again, the goal was not intended for me to pitch and sell. Inevitably would ask, what do you do? And then you would tell them what you do. And then they would say, hey, I need help with my website. But if your only goal is you think that I need to get a client at this meetup that I'm going to, then it's probably annoying for everyone else, and it's probably a waste of time for you. So I think you have to go in with the intention of just meeting people and learning from people. And there's so many networking events out there. I would niche down on the events that are relevant and interesting for you. I wouldn't just go to a bunch of them, because there's also people that seems to be all they do. They just go to meetup events and conferences without doing a whole lot themselves of substance. And I think that's the wrong approach too. I've also gone to meetup groups where I met deca millionaires, and that was incredible because before then I've never even talked to anyone at that caliber before. So for me to meet these hyper successful people, or at least to me they are, that's an incredible experience, and I would not get that if I had not gone to these meetup events. And one of them, I actually have used his website and the service before. It was a domain tools service where I could look up people's domain names, who is information. And so it was incredible for me to meet the guy. So that's my experience. And right now, I'm actually headed to a coding meetup group right now. I'm trying to learn more about, when I ran my business, there was a lot that changed in the world of web development. And I'm pretty much not quite 7 years behind, but I might as well be 7 years behind as far as the giant knowledge gap. So I'm going to these events to meet people who are actually in the field right now doing things, and I get to talk to them and get to learn what technologies that they are using and get to learn how they're applying these technologies. And that's really it. That's my intent and my goal, just to meet people that are smart and they share their experiences, and I'm happy to share my experiences, so that way as a community we can all benefit from the exchange of valuable information. Along the way, make some friends that are doing cool things. So that's my take as far as networking events, meetups, that kind of stuff. I think there's a tremendous amount of value in it, whether you are looking for a job, or even if you are not looking for a job, because who knows, you might meet your future employer, where if you leave the current job or get laid off or get fired, well, now you have a network of people that could potentially hire you. And again, I wouldn't go into any of these with that being the goal in mind, but that's just how things happen sometimes. It's especially more true if you're a freelancer, or if you own an agency, or even if you're a SaaS founder. Maybe your services, the tools that you offer, the solutions that you offer, maybe the people in the meetup groups that you run into once in a while could benefit from those services or those products, and they could be a customer. And if you treat them well, they will spread the word for you, and you get more customers. And even if you have no intentions of any of that, I think it will depend on the meetup group. But for these technical meetup groups, I always leave learning more, and I think that's really cool. It's important to be a lifelong learner, to continually gain and acquire new skills, new experiences, and level up what you can do for yourself and for the people that you are servicing. So that's my take on networking events. Thank you for watching.